to the channel. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to those who are new to the channel, and welcome back to those who continue to tune in from week to week. It is an overcast today, so you might see the sun going in and out, but this is dress number 10. It is finished. It is finished. So for those who might be new to the channel and those who maybe have forgotten, this is dress number 10 of my 10-piece summer dress collection series. So for those who might not remember, I had chosen 5 commercial patterns and 5 indie patterns that I have sewn up over the past several months, and I have been bringing to you, once they are completed, a review of the patterns, what I did, fabric I used, all of the good things. And so this is the final make. Lady Dane, her collar popped a little bit on this one. But it is finished. It is all done. Of course, I'm going to have pictures and video and all of the stuff to share with you today. So what am I wearing? I have on the Love Notions Bandcamp shirt. I've already done a review on that. I can leave the video link down in the description box. But what am I talking about today? As you can tell by the title, it is a mashup. Dress number 10 was a mashup. This is KnowMe 2020 and KnowMe 2027. If you recall, when I was talking about this, this was the only one out of all of the dresses that I struggled with the most in trying to figure out the fabric that I wanted to use. I really had been trying to, throughout this series and mainly throughout the year, to use up fabric from my fabric stash. And I can say I am so happy how it's been going down. Although I did admit, if you saw, I think it was in my what the plus size ladies are wearing and ready to wear, and the different things I'm planning on sewing. If you missed that video, go check it out. But I do admit, I admit in that video, most of the fabric that is left in my stash are wovens. I am not particularly drawn to sewing woven or knit the most. It's about even for me. However, I have noticed what's mainly left in my collection are wovens. And so because I am veering off into sewing up a bunch of more casual loungewear, laid back, cozy vibe type things, I need some knits. So there will be some fabric purchases here in the future. But let's go over the fabric and what I decided on this look. So what I did was I used the skirt from ME 2020. Both of these are by Katy Style, Marcia, and I used the top from 2027. And so there is a sew along. I don't know if there could be one for 2020. I know there's a QR code, but sometimes there's a delay in when the videos actually are published. But I know that there's a sew along for ME 2027 because I use that to sew up the bodice. I just followed the sew along. I didn't read the directions at all. I will admit, I didn't read the directions at all. And the size pack that I have is a 20W through 28W for both patterns. And what I decided to do based on my body measurements, 45 bust, 40 waist, 52 hip, is I went with a size 22 for the bodice and graded out to a 24 at the waist. I graded out to a 24 at the waist. And so the bodice here is a 20, and then it goes out to a 24W at the waist and hip. And so there are a couple things I want to mention obviously about this. First thing first, fabric. I did go back and look, where did I get the the polka dot, the purple polka dot. That came from House of Mami Wata. I purchased this, actually both came from House of Mami Wata. This purple polka dot, and then this kind of geometric color, which I have a ton more of that here. I have a lot of that here. So both came from House of Mami Wata. I will link to her shop down in the description box. I don't know if either of these are left. I have the names of these. I will put the names of these in the description box. So if you are interested in either of these fabrics, check the description box. I will put the name of the fabrics, the polka dot. I believe the name of the polka dot is Purple Teal Fuchsia Farah. And then the geometric one is orange, green, brown, Bahilicia design, I think. But at any rate, that is the name of the fabric. Again, I'll leave them the names down below. I don't know if they're still available. I'll actually look them up. How about that? I'll go a step further. I'll look on the website because I have the name and everything for them. If they're available, I'll link to them down in the description box. If they're not available, I will say in the description box, no longer available. Still go check out the site because she has a ton of beautiful Ankara prints. And then the buttons that are on the front are just buttons out of my stash. My Bernina button collection, you all saw that when I acquired that. Bernina came with a bunch of buttons. And so that is what I put here. So what I can say about the pattern. So let's start with the bodice. Again, I followed the sew along. I just followed the sew along. The bodice, as you can tell, it has these different contrasting pieces so you can play around with the look and everything that you may be going for, that you want. For this, as you can tell, I don't have any contrasting pieces. One thing that I do realize, if you decide to do like I did, and if you're looking for the extra layer or that texture look with the fabric, use those contrasting pieces because you have the contrasting bodice front pieces and you have the contrasting bodice back. However, if you are using all one fabric for that area, you don't have to use those contrasting pieces. They're sewn on top of the bodice side pieces. They're sewn on top. You don't have to use them if you're doing a all one color. And so that was one thing I realized after the fact, but I do like the added dimension, the texture. You can't see it. Perhaps I should come up and show it to you. Let me do that. So maybe you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where there's a little added dimension to the bodice when you do add that contrasting piece on top. So I'm not sure if you can see that. Here's the contrasting piece that's added on. And so it's just sewn on top. So you don't necessarily have to do that in order to combine this front piece with the side piece. This is just sewn on top. So hopefully that makes sense. So you don't necessarily have to have that to complete it. There weren't anything in particular for the bodice that I wanted to necessarily point out outside of that. The bottom part, I never intend to make the jumpsuit for this. I always just loved how the top looked. And I like that the, you know, it's minimal buttons on top. Lately, I've been doing buttons. I go through phases. I'm mainly a snap girl, utility snap girl. That's mainly me. But these past couple garments have all had buttonholes. But it also calls for, when you cut out the yoke, you only cut out one yoke piece. Now, I did that for this. Typically for yoke bodices, I always cut out two. So you have that clean finish and you don't see the wrong side of the fabric on the inside of the garment. Because this is Ankara, let me turn this around for you. Because this is Ankara, the front and back looks exactly the same. The right and wrong side looks exactly the same, which also take that, make sure you mark your fabric so you know what you plan to use for the wrong side versus the right side. And so there was no need to do the double yoke for this, at least not in my opinion. And again, because you can't really tell because the fabric I chose, there is a pleat back here. You can't even see it, but it's there. And again, the back contrasting pieces, you can't see it, but it's there. And so, but here's where I ran out of fabric. I didn't run out of fabric, and that's why I did the collar and the yoke like this. I had already planned to do that. I knew that I wanted to use this Ankara, the polka dot, the purple polka dot. But I was like, wouldn't it be fun? Because I had the other Ankara to do the collar separate and the yoke separate. And then the pockets, you know, this is what I'm thinking. I'll play around with the pockets, do the pockets in polka dot, because the pockets on the skirt have a gusset in it. So that's in the other pattern. So 2027, I have nothing added to share there. There are, you don't even see this, but there are darts, small darts that are in the front of this bodice. You actually sew the contrast piece over those darts, so you don't even see where the darting is on the front. So I do want to point that out. While you do have the dart there, you don't see it because you end up sewing that contrasting piece over it. I thought the sew along for this, there are quite a few pieces for this bodice. There's 10 pieces. I thought the sew along was pretty good. When she only goes up to the belt. She shows the belt and then it just cuts off. So putting the buttons in, or, you know, installing buttons, that is not even shown in the sew along. So if you are looking for help with how to put on buttons, you probably have to look up a video out there, because the sew along doesn't even go over installation of the buttons. You have to follow the directions. But if you're looking for visual, you need to find a video out there that maybe show how to do buttonholes. As far as the skirt, so I'm thinking with the skirt, I was like, oh, okay, this should work, because I looked at the patterns, and the bodice and the bottoms for both of these patterns are separate. So to me, that means I should be able to combine different patterns together. And I did, and you can't even tell. You'll see in the pictures and video, the skirt is slightly gathered into the bodice on this particular piece. Now, the other thing is I ran out of fabric. So like I said, I could have easily used more of the other fabric, but I have plans for that, and I didn't want to do more than the collar, the gusset for the pocket, and the yoke, because those were smaller pieces. And yeah, I didn't want to do all that. So the skirt is just the skirt pieces, the front and the back, that's it. There's no pockets on here. The large cargo pockets you would have seen, I was planning to do the belt. There just wasn't enough of the polka dot fabric left for me to finish executing what the vision that I had, but that's okay. It still turned out nice. I actually, honestly, because the only skirt pieces I was using was the front and back, I didn't even look at the instructions. I couldn't tell you what the instructions say, because it's not hard to sew the back together and then combine it to the sides and add it to the bottom of the bodice. So I didn't even look at the instructions, so I can't tell you how the instructions are for 2020, ME 2020, but I will say, what I do like is that the skirt from 2020 has that overlap, because you have the overlap for the bodice. It can line up with the front of this bodice, because you do have the closure, right? The button placket, because the skirt do have a button piece that you can line those up. I chose not to, because I was like, what's the point? I was and plus I only have 4 buttons. I wasn't going to have another button to put on the bottom. I knew I was going to unbutton this, pull the dress over my head, button it up, and that's how I put it on. I pull it on over my head. I did overlap the skirt at the bottom, and the overlap there, it overlaps. I wonder if I can show you. I'll bring the camera down and show it to you. So here's the front. So here's the button placket up front, and then I just started mine over here, which was fine. And as you can tell, it overlaps quite a bit. And so all I did was turn under. I serged and turned under the front by about 1 inch, and I just serged the other side. I just serged it. I didn't even turn it. And that's how I finished off the skirt, and I just slightly gathered it into the bodice and attached it, and that was it. So yeah, that's how I finished it off, and I am fine with it. I am fine with it. You'll have to let me know what you think of this. I will say this is definitely not my favorite. I love it. Of course, it's in my colors, all of that. I love the contrast that I did. But I was falling in love with practically, you all know, every dress I made in the 10-piece collection. I loved, and it was like, ooh, I love it, I love it, I love it. And so what you're gonna get probably in a couple weeks, I'm gonna do a full roundup. I'll pop up pictures and video of how I look in this today, but I am gonna do a roundup of all of the 10 dresses. And I love them all. I love them all, but I do have some favorites. I do have some favorites. You might have some favorites as well, but I do love this. I love the way it fit. I love how it hangs, and this is going to be, actually I'm wearing this to church coming up on Sunday. So I'm excited about wearing her out into the wild. But yeah, I love it. I love how it turned out. And for me, like I said, because I decided to just simplify things for the skirt, it was super easy. I think the bottom took me under an hour to do. The top did take a little bit longer. I just followed the sew along. So when you follow a sew along, you stop and start and stop and start. So it took me about, I would say, 2.5 hours to do the top. And then of course there was time I had to, you know, put the buttons and buttonholes in. But yeah, I am happy with how she turned out. You will have to let me know what you think. But yeah, I'll leave a link to, I picked up both my patterns from Joann Fabrics. I've had these since, let's see, May of 2023 is when I picked both of these up. And so I'm happy to finally have sewn them and gotten through them. And yeah, I'm very excited. My 10-piece summer dress collection is complete. And I have been like wearing them, washing them, and putting them right back in this closet over here. So I remember when I do my roundup, I can easily just pull them all out of my closet here. So you will get that roundup. So if you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to thumbs up this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, the contrasting collar and yoke and all of that good stuff. I love this 70s collar. This is totally a 70s collar and I'm here for it. There is no collar stand. It's just the collar. Yeah. Totally in love. So all right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. And did I get into the sleeves? I don't think I did, but I did do the flutter sleeve. That's the sleeve that come with it. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section down below. But I thank you all so much for tuning in today. You all have a blessed rest of your week, and we'll see you for the Sewing Buzz on Sunday. All right, everybody, have a blessed one. Bye.